I'm never drinking again. Put a hurting on my credit card. I must have bought tequila shots for everybody at the bar. Well, I finally learned my lesson, seen the neon light on Sunday morning, saved no more Saturday nights. I made it this time, at least until next weekend. I swear I'm never drinking again.
What is going on, Joe Mamas and Joe Daddies? Today on Windy City Joe's, we are joined by a very special guest. His name is Travis Denning. And Travis, to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you a little secret to get started. We've interviewed a couple of people at this point. Our podcast has been live since October, talking to music fans, and you are the individual with the most liked and downloaded songs on my personal Spotify.
I love it. Love to hear it.
So, not to break any hearts or anything out there, but I am a huge fan of yours. Your music is the shit, and we are super grateful for you to be sitting down with us.
Thanks, man. Absolutely. I can't wait to get up there and I think we're playing there in 2 or 3 weeks at Joe's for the first time ever. I'm pretty excited, man. It's gonna be a blast.
Man, that's crazy that it's the first time ever. Have you been to Chicago before?
Oh yeah, and we've played Rosemont Joe's, but this will be my first show at Joe's on Weed. But yeah, I've been to Chicago a handful of times. We did Lake Shake back in the day, which I guess they're not doing Lake Shake anymore, are they?
Dead, unfortunately.
Bummer, man. I thought that was such a great festival, and yeah, man, it's a fun little city. I mean, I always say it's like New York, but not nearly as crazy and eye bulging, want to get the hell out of there. You know what I mean? It's like a city where I'm like, oh, this is cool. I don't mind this.
Right. So you're from Warner Robins, Georgia. I know I'm a little late here, but go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Hold on, I got you right here.
Oh, there you go.
Hold this up for the people at home who are watching here. There you go.
So I guess you were, just a little happy with them winning the championship.
Just slightly, it wasn't one of my worst days. That's for sure. I mean, I definitely think it was like a top 3 day of my life, and probably, after a few, going number 1 is up there. Me getting engaged to my fiance.
Nice way to get that in there.
And depending on the day, I don't know which one's first. You know what I mean? The top 3, all in all.
So I saw you. So you're talking to Bobby Bones about your 3 favorite beers, and I think it was an open one, a free one, and then a lawn cut or a mowing a lawn beer,
grass cutting beer. Yeah.
Yeah. But then when the Georgia won, you shotgunned a White Claw.
Yeah.
A, what flavor was it? And B, you stand up for us guys that sip on a White Claw every now and then, and I appreciate you for that because they are refreshing every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I sip on a White Claw more than every now and then, and I don't really give a shit what anybody thinks. I mean, I think it's almost weird that people turn their nose up at an alcoholic beverage. I've never really had an alcoholic beverage that I thought was below me. You know what I mean? But I will say it was mango because that's the greatest flavor.
Oh, okay, yes, yep.
We were out of beer. I will say I did plan on shotgunning a beer, and all we had left was some White Claws. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know why people they're like, oh, White Claw, that's sissy. I'm like, it's just a drink, bro. It's all good, man.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not going to discriminate against my alcoholic beverages. I'm just not.
Do you think there's a difference between in technique with shotgunning a White Claw versus a beer? Because I feel like there's more carbonation.
Yeah, I think it's harder, honestly. I think it's kind of cuts all the way down the throat a little bit.
Yeah.
Knives. Yeah. It's like doing the Smirnoff Ice thing. It's like,
oh yeah,
everybody thinks that's easy until you have to do it, and you're like, oh my God, this is burning the whole way. It's like a sweet burn, a sugary burn. So yeah, the best technique is to drink about 9 before so you don't feel anything. That's the best technique.
That's perfect.
what are your like top 3 favorite like drinking games or even like tailgating events?
I'm a big cornhole guy. I know that
Yes.
some people call it bags. You know, either one. I love to play cornhole. There's Millie. There's the cat.
What's up, Millie?
Yeah. I mean, literally, the animals do not give a shit what I have going on in my life. They do not care. In fact, they try to mess with it. Golly. Anyways,
But I feel like cats are worse than dogs at that too.
Cats
Like-
don't give a shit.
Millie. There she is. Just
Look at Millie.
she's like, "Oh, you're doing something cool. I'll just walk across here."
She's like, I see those sunglasses on the counter. I'm gonna bat that shit off here pretty soon.
Oh, exactly. But man, definitely cornhole. And then, man, you know, Thunderstruck's a pretty good one. I don't know if you guys
Oh,
have played
yeah.
Thunderstruck. Yeah. And man, I don't know. I'm getting a little too old for the drinking games. I turned 30 this year. The best drinking game for me now is can I wake up before 8 o'clock the next day?
What? Okay. So, all right. So you're turning 30 this year. You've had a good amount of years drinking. I guess. Well, would you say the national championship night was the most you may have engaged like alcohol, or like what's one night where you're just like, damn, like I can't believe I woke up the next morning.
I mean, probably still it is. I mean, in recent history, it had been when After a Few went number one.
Yeah.
I was actually in my hometown. I was hanging out with my sister and brother-in-law and their family, and I went out to the local Water and Hole, Yesterday's Bar and Grill. It was a place I used to play, you know, before I moved to Nashville. Had all my friends there, like all my buddies, and like when midnight hit, we played After a Few in the bar and went all crazy.
Oh man.
And then this is a great story, has a great ending. But me and my best friend, his name's Brian Briggs. We've been best friends since high school. He actually lives in Murfreesboro now, so we still see each other all the time.
That's cool.
We had to drive back to Nashville from Warner Robins, it's a 5.5 hour drive, which is not bad unless you feel like the depths of hell hungover. Then it's like you got to go through Atlanta, Georgia, which is the worst traffic. Then you got to go through Chattanooga, all this. So it's bad, right? We stop and eat, and I'm just like, I mean, we're stopping every hour, it seems like, because we got to use the restroom or whatever, get a bite to eat, something to soak it all up. And finally, we get right outside of Nashville, and, you know, I look at him, I'm like, man, should we go to Broadway?
Oh my.
I was like, let's go get one beer at Broadway. And he's like, man, I don't know, buddies. I'm kind of tired. So I'm like, okay, cool. He goes, what are you going to do, you know, when you get home? I said, buddy, I think what I'm going to do is I might have one beer. I'm going to watch Hell or High Water, which is a great movie. And I said, I'm going to go to bed early. He goes, okay, cool. And we pulled up to my house, and there was about 45 people there waiting to surprise me for a surprise party that my fiance put together.
That is sick. That is awesome.
So I did not get to watch Hell or High Water, but I did.
God damn it, fiance. How dare you ruin my plans? I do want to get talking to your music and selfishly my favorite songs. So I kind of want to do like a rapid fire where I'm just curious about where the idea came from, like putting the lyrics together and then putting it out and like the story behind it. So mentioning After a Few, I want to hear about After a Few. Ooh, what you got there?
God dang, dude. Cat jumped in a box. Golly, I'm so sorry.
God damn it, Millie.
When I say we have a jungle here, it's ridiculous. All right. So, After a Few, first off, what was the question again?
Well, first of all, how many animals do you have?
All right. We have a dog and 2 cats. and Bo, Madison, she jumped in that box and was like 3 feet down there. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just, but like I told you, dude, if we're just sitting here hanging out and doing nothing, they don't give a shit. The second I got to do a podcast, an interview, Millie's like, let's get on the roof and jump off. Who cares? Okay, sorry. Back to the rapid fire. After a Few.
Yeah, After a Few. I just want to know like where the idea originated. You putting pen to paper or like with who, and then it coming out and yeah.
So I wrote that song with Kelly Archer and Justin Weaver. 2 great songwriters, written a lot of songs with both of them. And essentially, Kelly came in, she had the title, after a few. And prior to that, everybody gave me hell and laughed because I was the long title guy. I had David Ashley Parker from Powder Springs, like just long title. I was like, I need a short title. So after a few is perfect. And, she started kicking around those ideas and she's like, I think it's just some kind of cyclical, this vicious cycle of a relationship it's toxic and it's got bad things, but the romantic side of it just always brings these people back no matter what happens. And so we really started chasing that after a few drinks, after a few texts, after a few minutes, after all these things. And I had the music to it. I kind of really wanted to write this, 4 on the floor tempo thing, but like with a touch of that Ronnie Millsap kind of almost not disco, but like the sounds of the 80s country with the synthesizers and the way the guitar's drawn. I was like, I want to combine all that with a little bit of AC/DC, and so we wrote it. And as soon as I got the demo back, I knew it felt like a hit. I didn't know it was for me, honestly. Like I really wanted to send it to like Dustin Lynch. Like I was like, this sounds like a freaking DL song, and my soon to be A&R person, I didn't have a record deal yet. They heard it and they were like, you ain't sending that song to anybody. They're like, that's your song. And I'm definitely glad I didn't send it to Dustin. Even though it probably would have been a hit for Dustin. Sorry, DL.
I mean, he'll be all right. He'll be all right.
He'll be just fine. He'll be just fine.
All right. I want to talk about Abby. I want to fast forward to the music video. The music video is funny as fuck.
We were just watching it before.
We were just watching it. Do you still have the white coat, the white leather coat with the strings?
Well, that's actually my soon-to-be father-in-law's jacket. That's John Michael Montgomery's wedding jacket.
Ooh, okay.
So
awesome.
I don't have the jacket anymore, but it is at the Montgomery's house. It is in a closet somewhere.
Gotcha. All right. So, like, where did Abby come from, and how did it originate?
This is like the one song I recorded that I didn't write. A buddy of mine played me the demo. I had a show in South Georgia. He's like, you got to hear this demo. And he played it for me. And I was just like blown away. I mean, laughing my ass off. I thought it was hilarious, but it was funny, but it still was really well written. You know what I mean? It wasn't like too like chuggy or cheesy. It felt like a badass, like kiss my ass breakup song.
Yeah.
And man, it hung around in my head for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I ended up, I knew who the writers were, and I called one of their publishers and I was like, hey, what's the deal with this song? Like, is anybody cutting it? And the answer was no. And I said, well, if they'll let a nobody like me cut it, I'd love to have it, man. I was like, I think it's so awesome. And they let me cut it. And I mean, it just has become an absolute cornerstone in my live show. I mean, we closed with it, the whole Brothers Osborne set.
Wow.
And it's just, it did so much for my career it was not a hit at all. I mean, it didn't even chart on the radio charts. And it really just was a great next step forward for me as an artist.
Isn't that interesting though? Like when a song specifically doesn't do well in radio and then you go to a concert and the fans are like, give it to me. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think every day we're getting closer and closer to, we're pretty much in it now where how you discover music is completely equal at this point. You know what I mean? Like 100% people still discover songs on radio, right? And honestly, I'd say it's still the biggest place to discover new music as far as audience. But now you have Instagram, Facebook, and obviously TikTok. I mean, YouTube, Sirius XM, the highway, like there's so many and then of course the playlisting on Apple and Spotify and Amazon. Dude, you can have a hit song in such a different way than what it used to mean, which I guess opens up the question, what the hell is a hit song? Is it 50 million streams, or is it, I sold out this venue and everybody's singing this song? I mean, what makes a hit song? I don't think it matters anymore. I think whatever gets people coming out to shows and loving you as an artist, I think that's just as important as a number one,
What was it like the first time you ever heard one of your songs play on the radio?
Oh man, I was in Norfolk, Virginia. It was 97.3, the Eagle, and I was opening up for Chase Rice at the Norva, and I thought that I had to do like the head of my label at Mercury Records, Damon Moberly's the head of the promo staff. He's like, "Hey, we're going to do a quick interview real quick in the car." And we're sitting in the car and they got the radio on. He's like, "Yeah," he said he's going to call us right after this David Lee Murphy song. And he's like, "Damn, man, my phone ain't ringing. What the hell? Where's he calling?" And in that moment, I heard him on air going like, everybody going to the Chase Rice shows, a new guy opening up for him. He's like, "You probably haven't heard his music yet, but you're going to hear it right now." And they played David Ashley Parker, and they got me pretty good. It was a total surprise, and they were filming me and everything. And it was nuts, man. It's so incredibly surreal. It's just an amazing feeling. And it doesn't change. It never changes. I mean, when after a few was like top 10, top 5 and climbing, I heard it every single day I got in the car. And it was so awesome. I definitely got that point where I was like, hell, even I'm tired of this damn song, but it was still I think that's what all artists want, right? You kind of want that. I think you want that song where people go, "Jesus Christ, if I have to hear this shit one more time, I'm going to take my truck into a bridge." I mean, you want a hit that's that big, and it's a special feeling, man. I mean, it's just, for me, I look back on everything. I look back on playing shows in Warner Robins and Tifton, Georgia, and Valdosta, Georgia, and just trying to get on stage and like get people to look at us, and like just have them enjoy the covers we were playing. And you think back to all that, and it's really cool. It's very, very cool.
So to piggybacking off of that, what was the first time that you were playing a show and you were like, "Oh shit, they're singing along"?
That was, man, honestly, I think that was probably Boston. It would have been March. I think it was March 1st, 2020, which isn't that great? I mean, just right before the world ends. They finally start liking my shit. And we were on tour with Dustin Lynch. After a few, I think was top 15 at this point. And both of the Boston radio stations had been playing the hell out of it. Like, they were huge supporters from the get-go. And we closed with it, and we hit that last chorus, and the whole House of Blues sang it back. And, like, I'd seen people sing David Ashley Parker. I'd seen them sing it back. But when it's like front row to the balcony and they're singing it back, that was pretty unbelievable, man. That was like, and that was that thing of, sometimes it's really hard to see the progress, right? Like, you just, I'm a head down, like nose to the grindstone kind of guy. I just like to go play shows and work and work and work. I love when the year flies by and I don't notice it. That's how I like to be. But those moments when you go like, "Oh damn, it is working." Like, people are hearing it, and not only hearing it, but liking it. That was a special moment. And then Nashville got hit by a tornado. COVID happened and shit hit the fan. So that's the end of that.
I hear you, man. I literally signed my lease to live downtown Chicago on March 1st or March 15th.
Yeah,
so literally the next weekend, we were all going out for St. Patty's Day, and then the world ended.
Yeah.
So
that was a great time to be alive.
Great time.
Speaking of David Ashley Parker, like, do you understand how cool of a song that is?
Man, it's probably still one of my favorites, just purely from, I mean, everything about it's true. I mean, it's just my story of my fake ID. And man, that's cool when I hear people say that, because it has kind of grown into that thing of a little bit of the underdog song, in the sense of like, it went top 40, wasn't really hit on radio, but it's like, that's the song that people always go like, "That's my favorite song of yours." And for me, it's like, cool. I kind of carry it, a little on the shoulder of like, yeah, I like that song was cool. Like, people did like it. And I love hearing that, man, because it's definitely one of my favorites. And I couldn't think of a better way to really start my career than with the song that was just not only so about me, but so about where I come from. I mean, there's a lot of Georgia in that song.
So I was going to say, was that the first single you released?
That was my first single. That was the first piece of music I ever put out. It was my
Oh
first
my God.
radio, everything. Yeah.
Dude, the cojones on you to release a song as like the title, because you were giving shit about
Yeah.
your long titles, David Ashley Parker from Powder Springs, like, and that's your first song, like, ooh, that's just so fucking cool. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of that song, and the fact that everything about it is true just makes it that much even better. And like you said, it's not that radio hit, but it's that song that someone will listen to and they're like, holy shit, and they'll send it to someone right away, like, you need to hear this because there's a story behind it, and which
Right.
are the best songs.
That was,
Yeah.
I mean, that was the conversation we had about it. Was I think everybody knew that it was like special, but we were like, I mean, a hit on radio and punching through, getting into that top 20, top 10, it's just a whole different ball game of things that have to line up. And they don't really always have to do with the song as a whole. I mean, it just has to do with certain elements of the song. And that's okay, man. That don't bother me. Like I get it. I mean, radio is a huge audience that's different from sometimes is different from the people that come to your show. And for me, we knew there was a possibility it wasn't going to test well and that people weren't going to get it right off the bat. But I wanted people to hear it and say, who the hell is that? You know, like, I want to go listen to more of his music. That was the most important thing to me about that song, was just introducing people to me, you know?
Yeah, like that song, like I feel like is super cool to like literally anyone who ever had a fake ID.
Well, yeah, it makes you think about your own story,
Right.
You know,
So,
and
like,
how you got yours.
When I first heard that song, I literally sent it to the guy that I had his fake ID, and I was like, dude, like, you gotta listen to this song.
That's awesome. I love it. And of course, I had the guy in the music video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his name was Ashley David Parker. It wasn't David Ashley, but I was like, the title's already confusing enough. I got to get a man's name, like a just a male name in front of it instead of like a boy and girl name.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
it's called Ashley David Parker. People were like, well, is this about a girl or a guy? So we went David Ashley.
That song is obviously a banger. All right, next one I want to hear about, Heartbeat of a Small Town.
Yeah, man, this was that's a song that I wrote. It was the first song I wrote with Red Akins. Me and Red have written a whole lot of songs together since then, and it was a title I had in my phone, and I love where I come from, man. Like, I love being from Middle Georgia. I love everything about the state. Love everything about my hometown, and it's just kind of an ode to that. I mean, just all the things that make it, and I thought about the heartbeat being this kind of rhythmic thing that kind of lives through a lot of elements in everybody's, upbringing and hometown. And for me, it was that heartbeat was, the high school band at a Friday night game. It was, it was the trash train that ran around in circles around my town that always made me late to school when it blocked off MLK Boulevard, going to Warner Robins High, and just all those little things that you don't think much about until you kind of get away. And so we threw it all into a song, and that became it.
A lot of your music, which as a fan, I just simply appreciate, and I hope you like understand that your music does this, but it puts a picture in your head, and like your lyrics paint an awesome picture of, like, especially After a Few, David Ashley, like I said, it brings those moments back. And then Heartbeat of a Small Town, it's like those who have been part of a small town, we immediately go back to our brains, and like, it's like, yeah, we find our own heartbeat of what we think of is from our own small town, if that
100%, man. And I mean, I feel like when people come up to me and they love David Ashley Parker, it's because realistically, all of our fake ID stories are kind of the same, right? Like, it's just about having that freedom too early, Yeah. And Heartbeat of a Small Town, people are like, I see where I come from in that. It's because we kind of, things are different, variables are different. Like, some people from the mountains, some people from the beach, but like, dude, we all chased something that was similar, and that was just wanting to be older, wanting a taste of what's new, being 16, wanting to be 18, being 18, wanting to be 21. And I think that kind of theme through everybody's life is what not only makes those songs connect, but really just country songs, man. I mean, the fact that you can listen to George Strait, who's from Texas and he's a cowboy, and we probably have literally nothing in common as far as like our upbringing and what we love. But I related to so many of his songs because it's more about way deeper than just the stuff on the outside that I think people relate to in country music. And I've just tried my damnedest to try and keep that going in my music.
I was gonna say, so when you're writing, do you try and focus just on like painting that true story of yours, or are you more focused on how can I relate to my fans and listeners?
Man, it just depends. I mean, I think it depends on the song. It depends on the idea. I mean, there's times like with a song called Call It Country that was on my last EP, I walked into the writing room and I said, I want this shit just to sound awesome on stage. I was like, I want to write a show opener. I was like, I don't care what it says. I was like, I want this to like kick people in the teeth, you know? And that's like where that song started. You know, it's just more about like, I want to create something that would be awesome live. But for me, I do think it is the picture. I mean, especially, I just cut 3 songs about 2 weeks ago and just sang the vocals on them. And all 3 of them, to me, are picture painters in the sense of trying to convey a story with detail. You know, I think some of my favorite country songs are that. I mean, you know, back to George Strait, I mean, The Chair, like just you see the bar, you see the guy, you see the girl, you know, you see that whole thing playing out. Chattahoochee by Alan Jackson. I mean, the lyrics are, I mean, he says grape snow cone. I mean, what the hell? Who think like the only way you get that is because it probably actually happened to him. Like he lived it. He lived that moment. And when you can see it in your head. So yeah, I definitely focus on that. I'd say for the majority of the songs is just trying to paint the picture of what's going on, you know, physically and emotionally in the story.
Last song I want to touch on, Tank of Gas and a Radio Song. Another very long title. How'd it come about? And like it's already in the title. It's like the ultimate road trip song. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wrote that song with Shane Miner and Nathan Spicer, 2 good buddies of mine. And it's actually pretty funny. I rolled up to the right and Shane Miner is awesome, man. Like he wrote Beautiful Mess for Diamond Rio. And I mean, he's had some great hits, Chilling It, Cole Swindell. And we're talking to the parking lot and he goes, man, I'm going to get a song on your record. You know, he's like, we're going to write one that you're going to cut. And in my head, I'm like, God damn, it's a little pushy, Shane. Like I'm a little, you know, let's just go write a song and hopefully I'm going like, God dang, son. He's like, no, I'm going to get one on there. You're going to cut one. But that's Shane. Like that's how he rolls. And that's what I love about him. And I'll be damned if we didn't go in there and write Tank of Gas and a Radio Song. Nobody had the idea. We didn't have the hook. What? Nothing. Like we were totally starting from scratch. And really I was just, you know, we probably talked for like an hour and a half about songs and this and this. And finally, you know, I was like, what if we just write this super 80s nostalgic, like you close your eyes and you see neon colors, just like super 80s kind of like music, you know, Tracy Chapman, you know?
Yeah.
And I just threw out, what if it was just simple, like Tank of Gas and a Radio Song. And once we got the idea of like any good thing don't last long, like a Tank of Gas and a Radio Song. Once we got there, we were like, oh shit, okay, we got it. Like this is a story about a guy and a girl. And hell, I think we wrote it pretty fast once we got all that. It just took about 2 hours to get the idea. But yeah, that happens every now and then, not often for me. I mean, usually I have a hard time writing if I don't have the idea, you know, if somebody doesn't have a title, you know, or something. It's tough. But in that case, it worked.
When you're in those like writing rooms and you're trying to piece something together, do you like, I'm pretty much going to ask, are you sober or not? Or like, do you like drink to like chill out your mood? Do you smoke? Do you just go in there and you're like, all right, I want to do this sober. I want to get it all done.
Not really hard drugs. I mean, no.
Oxycontin.
Yeah. Super big pills. No, it's pretty. I mean, it's like a super sober thing for me. I mean, if I'm on like a writer's retreat, which is when, a handful of writers and get in a, truck, or they fly to the beach and they kind of hold up in a house and write songs. I mean, when we do that, I'm definitely cracking beers, at 10 or 11 because it's borderline vacation. But those times honestly can be some of the most rewarding and yielding of great songs. I've been on writers' trips where I've been gone for 6-7 days and we wrote 12 songs, because you kind of get away from everything. You get away from distractions and you have no choice but to write, and that's really fun. But as far as like when I'm writing in Nashville, if it's a Monday or Tuesday, I'm up early making breakfast, thinking about what I want to write and trying to get focused that way. And the biggest thing I do now is I don't try to force the expectation that like a song has to be done that day. I think that's a big thing that I definitely used to do when I was, younger, and especially when I was writing every day. It was like, we got to turn out songs. We got to turn them out. We got to do this. And for me, man, I'm way more focused on quality than quantity these days. Like if I have an idea that I care about and I like, if it takes 2 times, if it takes 3 days to get it all figured out, I'd rather do that, than to just force it out and it may not be perfect. So that's kind of where it's at for me. So short answer, yeah, I don't really drink that much when I write unless we're at the beach.
I do want to talk about Travis Denning and Friends. Have you worked out with Kip Moore again?
No, and I do not plan to ever again. Yeah, that was really that whole idea was just born out of boredness. We went on the road and I was like, we got to think of something to do. And we kind of, somebody on my management team just was like, what if we did like a variety show, but like, it's just kind of silly. I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And I came up with the title Travis Denning and Friends Do Stuff, because I was like, that's so stupid. That's so stupid. I was like, but that's what it's going to be. The first idea we brainstormed was the Kip Moore workout. I was like, that's going to be perfect. And it ended up being one of the kind of last ones we filmed. But I mean, dude, he cracks me up so much because, I like text him and I'm going like, I'm buddies with Kip, but I don't talk to him every day. Right. And he, he's a buff dude.
Yeah,
like he's intimidating sometimes. So we share the same publicist and she's like, look, just text him and tell him what you want to do. So imagine just you cold text Kip Moore and you go, hey, I'm doing this thing called Travis Denning and Friends Do Stuff, and I want to work out with you, but I want you to like yell at me the whole time. I was like, it's just gonna be a funny thing. I didn't hear from him for like 2 days. I'm like, he's probably like, what the hell is wrong?
Whose number is this?
yeah. Who is Travis Denning? And, so finally he texts me back and he goes, all right, so you want to like, you work out and I just kind of cuss the shit out of you and we film it. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want you to do. He's like, all right, cool. Let's do it next week. And dude, he nailed it. He was amazing. He was directing it. He was like, I want you to do this and I'm going to say this. And he got into character so fast. I was like, dude, you should be an actor. You should act in the movie. He was so good. And it was easily my most favorite one we did because he was so incredible. And it's been fun, man. I mean, we definitely want to bring it back. I've talked to like Dustin Lynch wants to do one. John Party wants to do one. And we might try and get even out of country music a little bit.
Ooh.
Might try and get some football players, maybe some NASCAR drivers or something. So we just got to find the right time to do it. And then we're going to tear it up.
You absolutely need to bring it back. I think it's hilarious. And I also just love when music artists branch out of music and they just try something new and do, like we were talking to Wade Bowen and like the wisdom and knowledge in that guy. We were like, you should be hosting a podcast, not us. Like your brain is insane. But yeah, kudos to you for doing that. We are big fans of it.
Are you a big NASCAR guy?
Yeah, that's where I was going to.
Yeah, man, I definitely keep up with it. I mean, I'm not head over heels following it like I do football, but I actually am playing the pre-race concert at Atlanta Motor Speedway in March, and I'm super fired up about it. I've been fortunate enough to, make some friends that are drivers. I mean, MTJ is a great guy. Him and his lady Sherry have been so awesome to me. I mean, Sherry is so awesome. And my boy Chase Elliott, great guy. Ryan Blaney. I mean, all just super sweet guys, Chase has come out to some shows in Atlanta before and had fun and stuff. And it's so interesting going to a race and seeing how accessible everything is. Like, I mean, if you got pit passes, I mean, they're just walking around. You know what I mean? It's like I couldn't imagine going to a freaking Titans game and being able to walk up and be like, "Hey, Derek, go run well today."
Yeah.
You're good. Don't worry about it. How's your mom? Everything good? You good? Like it's so cool how they make it for fans, I think, and I think it's just so much more approachable. So I'm pretty excited. The really cool thing is they are giving us a suite for the race.
Ooh.
So we get like 30 tickets. So I texted all my redneck buddies back home and I was just like, I got about 20 tickets. You better tell me who's coming right
now. Travis, you need to, we are, Jackson here told Tyler, our producer, and myself, he's like, you guys need to come to the Indy 500 with us this year. And it was last year. And wow, it was just 4 days of, like, you can imagine, like, just tailgating, drinking, and then the big race on Sunday. It was like the most amazing time. It was incredible. Yeah. Highly recommend.
I remember when me and my dad went to Talladega for the first time growing up, and it was so awesome, dude. It's like Randy Houser did a pre-race or the night before concert, like just so you got like killer music, Dega Boulevard, super fun. Everybody walking down. I mean, there any kind of race like that, and I bet the Indy 500 is just even more insane for sure.
Well, you can't go wrong with fast cars and cold beer.
No.
Oh yeah. Well, you can if you combine them sometimes.
That's true.
Well, that could be an issue.
Yeah. No, that's true. Well, and also like the funny thing is like when we get to the race on Sunday, we're like, fuck, like these cars are so loud.
Yeah.
Like, because we've been drinking for 4 days. So we were like you're like, oh, I'm gonna need a beer and like a lot of water,
an
IV,
a
liquid IV, an
Yeah,
actual IV.
There's no shame in wearing the earbuds because it is. I mean, I remember my first race. I was like, I want to feel it, man. I want to feel it in my bones. I didn't wear it, and it's just like you hear, woo, for like 15. I mean, I had the worst tinnitus I'd ever had in my life after that.
That's very true. That's very true. All right, Travis. So you are performing at Joe's on Weed Street, February 12th. And it's your first time there. We are pumped. We will be there. We'll be screaming our heads off. 1 to 27. How pumped are you?
Definitely a 27.3.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm fired up, man. It's such a fun town. And, I know things are a little squirrely right now. People are still a little, still on edge about COVID and stuff, but man, we're going to have such a blast, man. I can't wait. And hopefully people will come out, will, take 90 minutes to forget about it, and just enjoy the show.
Absolutely, dude. It's going to be an amazing time. Thank you for coming on to Windy City Joe's. It's been a blast talking to you. And we're looking forward to seeing you in the city, man.
Thank you guys, man. Good to talk to y'all.
Thank you.